The game begins with a masked figure shooting out the screen before you that you are trapped watching. You quickly regain your senses and stand up to inspect the room around you, as you see that you are trapped in a chair and are still confined to restraints that you need to take off. Realizing this fact, you decide to head out of your containment cell, but inspecting your environment before you, you quickly notice that outside your containment chamber, there's a mess of bodies and gore, with many security guards strewn about dead. But you also quickly hear over the intercom system that whoever's containing you is starting something called Operation Bright Star. You quickly head to a room and crouch down to hide where security enters. But in this room, as you crouch around, you can also find a file labeled Subject 106, Preliminary Observations, saying how this Subject 106 figure has superhuman strength, and the subject also gets dopamine spikes from killing people, and last of all, the subject cannot speak at all. Strange. You decide to ignore this and quickly shimmy into the vent system to hide and move around the facility. You use the vents to move throughout the facility efficiently while avoiding any confrontation. As you head throughout the vents though, you suddenly hear screaming and make the wise decision to continue towards it. Eventually, you reach a security room full of gore, like the one that you saw outside your cell, but you also find a key to your restraints and a pistol. You unshackle yourself and you move forward throughout the facility. Now free, you move throughout the facility while also quickly dispatching any security personnel who get in your way with your newfound pistol. This is until you reach a dark room full of security searching for you. You don't give very many options, but this is where you discover the first of your abilities. Cloak is an ability in the game where you can just practically go invisible like a chameleon. Clearly, you are a normal person. There's a reason they were keeping you here in this facility, and this is surely part of it. But ignoring this, we can use our new cloaking ability to dispatch anyone in our way and continue moving throughout the facility until we reach the next batch of security cars that we have to take down, where we learn of our second ability.
He's right here!
Yeah, apparently we can also just slow down time on top of going invisible. Ever more reason we're probably kept captive here, but we use this ability to dispatch more of the security as we continue making our way through the halls. Though, as we make our way through the halls, we discover more and more gore and carnage, like we saw outside of our cell, and we, of course, again make the wise decision to follow the gore and carnage. We continue throughout the halls following it until coming up on a freezer. It's still filled with the same gore, and we follow this gore's trail until... It seems that the person that saved us is already dead, but what's strangest about it all is that it seems like he did it by his own accord, with a blade cleanly piercing his body. As we inspect him, we see he has a weird golden emblem with CV written on it and a pyramid. But after patting his back and regaining our composure, we continue moving forward. We face more security, but for our newfound abilities, they're easily dispatched as we reach and take an elevator up. After taking the elevator up, we discover the office floor of the building, where we find another file, like the one we found earlier, except this one is titled Brain Transplant Proposal. Reading the file, we can see that someone is working with another person named Anton on a project called WBE, where they're trying to digitally emulate an entire human brain. But they're struggling to do this due to the power it takes to run a whole human brain, so whoever is writing it proposes a solution where they rewire another person's brain to match a donor's. Clearly they were doing much more than holding you down in this facility, and at the end of the report it says that the person writing has a PhD in anomalous sciences, so there's also clearly more than what's rational going on here too. But we don't have time to think about all of that too much before we find another file telling us what the Operation Bright Star they activated is. Apparently we're in a place called Site 14, so now at least we have a location. But it says how the operation will commence if the site is ever compromised, and civilians in the site have 30 minutes to evacuate before their designated targets and shot down without discretion. Yeesh. Whatever is happening in this place, it's obviously important that nothing here gets out. We finally find a file labeled Scientist Briefing, saying how this Subject 106 we heard about earlier has anomalous properties never seen before by whoever's running this facility. This subject can turn invisible, dodge bullets, and has superhuman strength. That sounds very familiar, but we're not given too much time to dawdle on it, as we're soon attacked by security personnel, who we quickly make our way through with our abilities. Soon, though, we come upon a dark hallway, and as we continue down it, suddenly, this is the facility's elite task force mentioned in the Operation Bright Star report we read earlier. Even if they're all elite though, all it takes is another shot or two to take down, so we really just dispatch them and continue moving on until we find something strange. It's a drone. We upload to it, and the first thing it says is that the user is Subject 106. So, if it wasn't obvious, we are the anomalous Subject 106, and that's now very clear if it already wasn't to you. But it uploads our memories, and it says that Subject 105 has been terminated, and that the cycle begins again. Strange, like most things we find, but per usual, we also don't have time to think about it, because security attacks us right after. We continue along after we dispatch them until we reach a room full of elevators. We can now fully hear the chief of security saying things over the intercom, telling security what to do as he throws wave after wave of men at us. Eventually, though, he decides it's time to take matters into his own hands and comes out himself. He's covered in hard-to-penetrate armor, and he's a pain to kill because he takes so much ammo. But you still manage. After killing everyone, suddenly the door is busted open by a group of people with blue goggles covering their faces. You prepare yourself to fight, but as you leave the facility, they identify themselves as friendlies and tell you to get in their chopper, and you do as they say and enter. After entering the chopper, you're flown to a very nice coastal area, and you're introduced to an unknown figure called the Director. She says how you're held by something called the Horizon Corporation, and that she assumes that you want vengeance, and they want vengeance too. And you're introduced to Task Force 27. We land at our new safe base, and we can explore the new safe house, where we can customize our appearance, go through combat simulations, and much more. But as we're currently exploring our new safe haven, we're quickly told by the Director that they're planning to raid a Horizon facility, and you're included in it. So, we walk towards the chopper, and we start the next mission.
We have more helicopters coming in. They can't land without AA gun access.
We're thrust from the helicopter as it's shot at, and we fall down on the facility and through a glass ceiling. But what do you think we have to do before anything else? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Mothra D. So, what will we do first in the game? A. Get violent and kill all Horizon guards in our vicinity. B. Read a lore file. Or C. Shoot ourselves. Ding ding ding. It's B. The lore file we find is simply labeled Welcome to the Pandora Institute, and we get some further context of what this place we're in is. It's an end-of-life care facility, and it's free to everyone who's living in it. We're here to find some scientists, but why on earth would a scientist be an end-of-care facility? Just doctors and caretakers. But we should know better by now. There's no point in asking questions. So we just continue along our warpath, killing any Horizon security that gets in our way, until we reach the anti-air gun that forced us out of our chopper, and we disable the anti-air gun. Now, with the anti-air gun gone, our chopper can come back and drop some supplies, giving us a new item, breach charges. We bust through the door into the main facility, into a very luxurious restaurant and bar. It's very nice, and it seems like it'd be good for an end-of-life facility, but like everywhere else, it's filled with security. But moving forward past them and towards the courtyard, we can find another lore file entitled Quotas, where it says how the facility needs more patients to meet their quota, and how the more patients they have, the better it is for science. Okay, yeah, obviously something more is happening here, but what? After this, though, we're dry on lore files for quite a while. That is, until we reach a new section of the building. The music completely changes, taking on a much calmer tone. And as we look around, we can see birth and death dates scrawled all over the walls. These are the volunteers at this Horizon facility who came for end-of-life care. But there's so many of them. We can move forward, but our path is quickly blocked by a giant laser gate. So we follow the wire from the gate, and it leads to a small security room with only one guard left in it, who was presumably left behind to protect it. He's no problem though, as he's just a basic enemy. And looking around the security room, we can also find a power box where if we pull the lever, all the power disconnects to the door. But also in this room, we can find a lore file, and it's entitled Oasis Tower Incident. Apparently a lockdown is in effect on the facility, and everything is locked down and no one is allowed in or out. Something bad is going on here. But again, what? Now that the laser door is gone, we can walk through and open a door to another courtyard, again filled to the brim with enemies and security. But per usual, we quickly dispose of them, and we get some more breach charges, which means we enter the next room only for it to be filled with bodies. But soon we also get a message from the CEO of Horizon himself, but it's meant for the volunteers and it's automated, saying how many lives would be saved by the volunteers' selflessness. But as this is said, we're attacked by more security. But after dispatching them, we can find two lore files. One titled Atrium Situation Report, saying how there are many wounded in the atrium and guards are running away and leaving their posts. But Horizon isn't quite sure what they're running from. And we can also find another one titled Email to Family, which at the very top, before anything else, says the email was not sent by the Pandora Institute. And in the email, it's someone presumably just a child, no older than being an adult, talking to their dad about how the Institute isn't as good as people said. The staff are pushy, and they're being forced into medical experiments. And they're asking if it's too late to change their mind about being there. We think about both these lore files as we continue further in the facility, finding more and more bodies. But the director comes into the mic and says they found Dr. Emerson's signal in the basement. If you remember, that's the guy we're at this facility to even save and find. But following her directions, we head further down. We enter a room full of medical sketches of the body with various layers taken or peeled away. It's very strange, but most things in the facility and game are. But we head deeper following our director's instructions until coming across the elevator and a friendly task force member. He calls the elevator up for us, and we enter the elevator. We step out of the elevator into gore like we've never seen before. The entirety of the room is covered in blood and bodies, and even moving past the bodies, we can find another laser gate like we saw earlier. As we look for a way to turn it off, though, we can find a new lore file. It's titled Patient Exposure, and the first thing we see is a horrific image of something covered in boils and sores, a variety of scientists around it. And reading further into the file, we can see how whenever they put something into the person in their photo, their DNA was completely rewritten, causing grotesque mutations. The subjects also became violent and erratic, but even more horrifyingly, the subject's cognitive abilities still seemed to remain intact, even if it was severely impaired. The subject in the photo died not long after the mutation due to gas buildup in their body, causing it to explode. Clearly, this is what they're doing in this facility. Horrific human testing on terminally ill people, just searching to enjoy their final moments. We need to stop this. Moving forward, we can find a vent that leads to a security room and crawl in, finding the device that will shut off the laser gate that was blocking us. But
lockdown sequence aborted. Reinitializing facility.
Shooter sighted at checkpoint Maxwell. We use some reinforcements over here.
they created something unholy here. Something that did all of this. But the director quickly reminds us of our mission. We're here for Dr. Emerson. We should not engage this thing. We can continue further until we find a door labeled rallying position and hear gurgling behind it. So we go in and this is one of the mutated subjects we saw in the file earlier. Clearly they're highly volatile as they hit and eventually break through the glass, so we have to put them down. We can continue further though in the facility on our search for Dr. Emerson, but we quickly find another lore file on our way entitled Black Ops Mission Log, where it describes how one of our syndicate facilities was raided by Horizon and a crate was taken here for further research. What would be in that crate, though, that we had? Did we originally have this experimental, horrifying creature under our control? Well, I guess at least we kept it contained. We continue further until finding some sort of nest. It's strange. There's black goop all around. But we can soon find out what it's a nest for. We're suddenly overrun by tens and tens of the mutated subjects, each of them clawing at us, and the moment we kill them, they explode from their built-up gas. They're probably even harder to kill than most of the Horizon security that we face throughout the game, as there's just so many, and they blow up on you, dealing horrendous amounts of damage. But we can still manage, and we kill them all, and we finally leave the nest room. We need to find Dr. Emerson. So, we continue to move as the blood and gore finally leaves most of the area. Maybe things are getting better. Eventually, we can finally reach a clean hallway and prepare a breach charge for our next door, hopefully to get closer to Dr. Emerson. Wait. Go back. That's me. This town ain't big enough for two Mothman partner. Let's kill this son of a gun. We'll meet at high noon. Okay. Jokes aside, heading back to where we were, after this encounter with the Mothman, we're pushed down a pit and it's filled with toxic gas and more mutated subjects. We can hear the director yelling for us to get out, so we run. And during this whole sequence, I was panicking. If you cannot tell by my gameplay footage, I was very stressed. But we run, and eventually we can make it out. And hey, we finally found Dr. Emerson's signal. We can finally find the guy that we came all this way for, and
He's dead.
yeah, who could have guessed? He's already dead by the time we find him. The director quickly tells us just to get his flash drive and upload it. But as we upload his flash drive, we can see a slight glint on his corpse. We can look at what it is, and it's one of those emblems like the guy that saved us had on the first mission. What? This is strange, but we're not given very much time to think about it because the director says our next objective. Our next objective is to destroy the subject. Time we meet at high noon, partner. We head to the armory next door and stock up. Heading further down the facility, the director explains how the Horizon Company's bioreactors are near, and if we can overload the bioreactors, then it will destroy the facility and the subject along with it, doing 2 objectives in one final fiery blaze of glory. And you may ask yourself, how are we going to overload the reactor? Simple. That's right, we have to throw any infected and mutated personnel we find into the reactor, but it just works out because it causes the explosion we need. But after the reactor's explosion, we need to escape before the facility blows. And it seems like our good friend is back, and we learned he has a new ability. He can apparently spit acid at us. Killing him isn't really an option because his wings are bulletproof, so we just have to juke him around the area as the area slowly shrinks as the facility burns up and fire fills each and every last crevice of the room. But if we just run around the room and as the area shrinks and stay alive, then the elevator finally opens up. We hop in and
Get out of there now!
the CEO of Horizon directly speaks to us. And he says how it's not even 1 week after we've escaped. We've already destroyed one of his facilities. But he also says something a little strange. We were never meant to be a weapon. And with that said, we finally reach the surface. We can reunite with our task force and finally leave this wretched facility. So we head towards the helipad, ready to extract. That's right, he's back. He's taken a bit of damage, and he's missing a wing, and he's covered in debris. So that means now we have a chance to actually shoot him without our bullets just being deflected off of him. You have to go through practically all your ammo on both your guns to kill him, but eventually he does go down. He is finally dead. I got the fastest draw of a moth in the west. So long, partner. But we finally head on the chopper for real this time and head back to the safe house. We're finally back at our one place of rest, the safe house. We can customize our looks, our weapons, but inevitably we head to the mission board where we see what our next mission is. The intel we got off of Dr. Emerson says that one of the Horizon's top scientists is currently in a castle that belongs to a highly violent extremist cult, and our objective is to take the scientist, dead or alive. We accept the mission and head to the chopper, and we can begin our way to the most evil place on Earth. We enter the castle and look around us as we're in a very nice dining room, and outside we can see large, imposing snowy mountains. But if we choose to continue forward, we can also find ourselves some sniper rifles and pick one up before we finally meet up for our task force. We can look around overlooking a courtyard full of cultists. So, we with the help of our task force begin to silently snipe them until they're all dead. After dispatching them, we can put down a smoke grenade for the chopper to tell them that it's clear, and we can head further into the cultist compound. And as we move further, we're given another objective by the director. We're not just here to kill Dr. Kramer now, or collect his research. We're here to kill the cultist's second in command, the Enforcer. As we walk around through the giant doors and threw them into a library, we can find a scroll. But all it says is that, like those we destroy, we too shall soon become. I guess we were expected. Moving further down into the library, we can reach the fully open library, but across the balcony overlooking it, we can already see the Enforcer just out of reach. But so we cannot fight him yet, as he sends his men in after us. As we go down to face them though, we can find a note labeled Cultist Journal Entry 1. It's from a man named Thomas. He joined the cult after leaving his job at Horizon because he thought the leader of the cult, the Patriarch, could offer his wife and unborn child something greater. After this, though, we have to finally dispatch the cultists in the library. But unlike Horizon security, the cultists have no armor, so they go down much easier. But it shows their lives aren't worth very much in the eyes of their leader. Moving more forward, we can find another scroll entitled Enforcer Log 1. I guess it was written by the Enforcer. And in this we can discover he was once just a soldier, and he joined the cult not because of any of his beliefs, but because he felt like the cult gave him belonging and fulfillment. He used to have nightmares and PTSD moments, but now he only dreams to die in battle for the Patriarch. Clearly the cult is taking people with past traumas or desperate people who are looking for belonging and turning them into cold-hearted murderers. Further along, we can find another scroll written by the Enforcer. It describes his plan for Doomsday, where it's awfully peaceful. He wants the cult to start a garden and learn to purify water. It's just very tranquil for a man whose whole job is to enforce with violence. Also near it, though, we can find another message from the cultist from earlier in his second journal entry. We can get a better idea of the cultists' lives, as it says they must pray for 4 hours each day and fast. But there's no women and children, and his wife doesn't like it in the cult. But he's going to continue being in the cult, thinking that she'll eventually get acclimated to it. After reading this, we can move further, facing more and more resistance from the cult, especially from martyrs, who I haven't explained yet. This is what they do. Yep, if you couldn't guess, they literally just set themselves on fire and jump onto you. It's very extreme to say the least, but that's what martyrs are. We can also find the next message from the cultist that we've been reading the logs of. Though, in his third journal entry, this is where we get this fun image. It says how he has put all of his faith in the Patriarch and will nail a mask to his face. Yeesh. And the question is, where is his wife and where's his kid? We can walk down a narrow hall after reading this, but we're attacked by many, many martyrs, all setting themselves ablaze at once. But we simply just gun them down and move to the next room, nearer than ever to the Enforcer. But there's a scroll on the table just before the Enforcer's room. Cultist Journal, Entry 4. We can read it, and it's the guy we've read about from the beginning in the cult to now has become a martyr. But we just cleared a room full of martyrs. We, more likely than not, just killed the man that we've been reading the journal entries of. And even in his final log, there's no mention of his wife or child. He mentioned his child in 3, but his wife hasn't been mentioned since 2. And she didn't like the cult. What did they do to her? What did they do to her child? But we can finally enter the next room and face him. We're attacked by the Enforcer, who has a minigun that does insane damage and can shoot just for insanely long. So we have to run and find cover, only occasionally taking pot shots at him in between his reloads. But even our cover breaks under his hellfire. In the end though, after many, many shots, we are victorious. After killing the Enforcer, we can also hear our task force on the comms, along with Dr. Kramer. He's officially been captured. Finally, our mission is over and we can just leave. But that's not the case. We aren't given too much time to gloat as Horizon lands in and, well,
Covered. Contact.
we can dispatch the security as we're the ones who get the drop on them because they're entering not really expecting us. But after killing them, we can hear the CEO of Horizon speaking to all of his forces in the castle. He tells them that they're here to recover Dr. Kramer and his research. But he also says to avoid Subject 106 at all costs. It seems like now he's fully aware of the power we hold. He knows it's best that we are just left alone and they get what they need. But that won't make us leave him alone, though. We can continue forward and seems like we discovered there's a bit of infighting between the two groups of the cultists and Horizon. But this just makes it easier to take them all out because they're too busy fighting each other to actually do with us. And as we do that, we can continue moving down and through the library, slowly and methodically taking out everyone in our way. But of course, nothing is that simple.
You weren't the first they sent to kill me.
The patriarch himself, the leader of this cult, is somehow telepathically speaking to us and kind of controlling our brain, saying how many have come to kill him before, but many more lie dead, and if we wish to kill him, then we shall soon too lay with them. We can reach a door and head out in the courtyard, regrouping for our task force, but as we do, we can see the courtyard is filled with Horizon personnel. But with the help of our task force, they go down, and we head through another large stone door, moving deeper into the cult's complex. And surprisingly, there's no enemies at all as we move throughout the facility. We just see a trail of red smoke. But the director says we're getting pretty close to one of the task forces. We can continue making our way down and find one of Dr. Kramer's logs. He was apparently sent to the cult compound to see if the cult had anything useful in their insane methods. It also says how if his heart rate spikes too high, or he doesn't report every 30 minutes, then a Black Ops team will come and kill everyone. I guess that's why Horizon raided the compound and knew something had happened. But it also shows that Horizon does not trust the cult one bit. If anything, just sees them as insane. And if we move a little further past this file, we can enter some sort of like movie set. It seems to be a model of a home, but in front of it there's a file. It's a locking the enforcer. Apparently the cult trained here to raid the houses of non-believers, and moving forward we can find Kramer's corpse. It's practically crushed as if something hit it with like 2-ton bricks. And we can also find all the task force members' corpses, except for one. The task force's leader is missing. Moving around the movie set, we can find his helmet, and we begin to download his helmet cam's data. After it's done, the video is corrupted, so we can only hear the audio. But from what we get from the audio, it sounds like a lot of shooting, and it ends with a very guttural scream. And then suddenly, the patriarch appears. He yells how he warned us, and what happens next is fully out of his control. Cultists start piling through in massive waves. And these are the more elite cultists wearing armor, so they're a little harder to kill. But we make our way through each one, snapping necks and shooting heads until they're all officially dealt with. After they're all killed, though, we can hear the patriarch telling his men that they should not advance further. I guess he's retreating, and he says that their ritual is complete. Then he finally ends it off with saying, "Hail the flesh golem." What? It's all okay though, because we can finally pick up the task force leader, and we can hear him gurgling over the comms. The director says how he's injured, but he's coming to approach us. We just have to open the door and help him in. Holy mother of pearl! They made a flesh golem. They took all our men and made them into one beast of flesh. And it's very bulky and it's tanky as hell. It takes so many shots to kill, and he even has the ability to shoot out little fleshy tendrils at us and pull us towards it. They actually made a literal flesh golem. Oh my gosh. Oh, but if we take our time and move around the set, being very careful to avoid his heavy hits, we can take him down and put our task force's leader and probably some of the men to finally be at peace. Finally, we can leave this place.
So it's true. You really are just like me. The question is, are you any better?
The patriarch suddenly jumps us, saying how we're just like him. But are we any better than him? We just need to keep moving forward, though. The other task force needs help. We run to the courtyard, and it's even more of a war zone than last time. The cultists are swarming the place instead of Horizon this time, and bombs are going off everywhere. And there's almost a red haze around the whole place. And as we shoot all the cultists, the platform in the middle of the courtyard comes up carrying even more. We can kill the cultists, though, with the help of the other task force, but another wave is coming. Our task force quickly tells us that we need to hop on the monument in the center and head down. And as we hop on and the platform slowly lowers, we can hear the cultists enter and a lot of shots, but we're helpless to help our task force. We have to kill the patriarch, here and now. As we enter the final section of the compound, we can find the entire place ablaze. This is their main library where all their secrets were kept, and they're burning it down so that no one may ever have them. We can find even more Horizon security and cultists infighting down here as we navigate our way through the burning books, the fallen shelves, and everything else, as it slowly collapses all around us. But we can finally reach the door. Past this door is the patriarch. It's time.
Today is a day of grieving. You are the second brother I must kill.
We can finally enter, and he's already shooting out of his rifle. Shot after shot coming at us as we have to dodge and try and shoot back at him. But if we get him low enough, he quickly retreats and disappears, making his cultists fight for him as he throws wave to wave at us. We have to take them out for him to return and continue his assault. But if we get him too low, he'll again run. If you do too much damage this time, and this time he brings 2 flesh golems and many, many more men as they all assault you at once. And the flesh golems are incredibly hard to destroy. But the patriarch will return before they're all dead, only to aid in their assault on you, as this giant horde of monsters and guns each shoot at you and hit you. But no one is immune to bullets. He will eventually go down just like any other man. But even if he dies, he has one last thing to say to you.
Break the cycle.
After killing the patriarch, we can finally head back to our HQ for a well-deserved rest, where we can choose to customize our appearance or do combat simulations. But before long, we head over to the mission map of a brand new mission, Site 83, Siberia, Russia. Apparently it's a former Soviet military base where all civilians were evacuated nearby it due to an alleged gas leak. So we're being sent with a small task force / recon team to investigate. We click on the mission and head to the chopper. We spawn in, and immediately we can see we're wearing a gas mask. It will limit our movement speed and our stamina, but we're not really told why by the director or anyone why we're wearing a gas mask. But if we continue heading further, we eventually reach an elevator. But as we head down the elevator, we slowly lose all connection with the director and the outside world. But finally making it down, there's also a laser gate in a way. Our recon team sends us to go to find a lever to open it, but in our search we can find our first file of this mission, which is labeled Gas Mask Protocol. Apparently everyone in the facility must wear a gas mask, and if they experience any sort of auditory or visual hallucinations, then they have to remove their weapons and then hand themselves over to the security immediately. So That's why we need our gas masks, obviously. But we continue heading deeper in our search of another route or lever. And the whole facility is running on low power. But as we move through the halls, the facility's AI will still occasionally speak. We can continue moving through the hall. Ooh, did I get you? I hope I got you, because that jump scare scared me half to death when it happened. Jokes aside, though, in the next room, we can find a file on the history of the facility we're in. It says how it was a former Soviet military base, apparently, but after a 1986 incident, the place was completely abandoned, and it was sealed up with concrete, but Horizon reopened it for study. Moving forward, we can find another automated door, which our task force says they'll guard, while we go to find an alternative generator. So, you head forward, and heading away from your task force on your search. But as soon as we enter the next room, we can hear the AI of the facility saying that there's 600 mile per hour movement in the laundry room. Okay, so we have to deal with some bullshit again. We can move forward though and find the breaker, which we flip on, so the door should be open. We begin to make our way back and... Great, a circuit fried. Guess we should have to find another way out. Before we leave though, we can find the second scientist log. And you may ask, where's the first one? Well, 2 comes first. You have to wait for 1. But if we read it, it says how the Soviets had discovered a crystal which they called Object 83, which they initially found exciting, but that was before their staff either started to disappear or slowly go insane. They were then made to wear gas masks around their facility, but after an incident, there was a rushed evacuation where most of the personnel were sealed inside with concrete to be trapped and never found. Morbid. After that, though, we shimmy into the vent system, trying to make our way back to our squadron, but when we get there, it seems as though they've already left. Immediately after entering the once closed door, we can find Scientist Log 1, where it says how when the subject was electrified, it caused a power outage. But the log ends with how they're sure their containment procedures are adequate. That aside though, we can move forward and continue our search. Random jump scare! Get screwed over, dear viewer. We are now in a bathroom, and it's just completely covered in blood. But our gas mask is broken, and written in blood on the mirrors are warnings: don't run, can't kill them, and lastly, they're blind. Now we have an idea of what kind of thing we're messing with. We just need to be careful and quiet. And as we move forward silently, we can find the 4th scientist log, talking about how the crystal can absorb objects and send them to an area thousands of miles away. And moving even more forward, we can see a strange whispering black mist as it floats throughout the halls. It's not too difficult to avoid it though, as long as we go silently and play it safe. We can also find Scientist Log 3, which continues the trend of the Scientist Logs not being in consecutive order. But reading it, we can see how when they fired an electrical current into the object, a security guard's helmet suddenly came on, showing a yellow fluorescent room, and the coordinates said that it was in the Gulf of Guinea. Again, strange, but we've seen so much supernatural by now that it's just kind of a fact of life. We just continue to move throughout the facility, as we can now see the carnage that those things inflicted upon the facility filled with Horizon employees, and their corpses strewn about everywhere. We also have to avoid more weird black mist thingies, but we can also find another file labeled Expedition Report 1, where it says how they're sending a team of 20 with 10 days of supplies to approach the crystal and locate the missing guard. But apparently the team was sucked in, and when they came to, what they saw was a place of yellow walls, carpets, and fluorescent lights. And the place is seemingly endless. We can also find the second log, and apparently we're now looking at their day 3 of expedition, and one of their teams got heavily mutilated by something, wherever they are. We walk out of the room, continuing until... Okay, so we got teleported to, I guess, the under part of the facility. It's all wood beams and pipes, and it's very dark. All we can hear is a slight buzz as we wander around, and wait, this looks familiar. This is the place from the logs. And yes, if you're wondering, this game just canonically has the actual backrooms in it. Just ignore that fact. But we can wander around it, and it's very barren. We can occasionally see a sign of life or another sign that a person has been here before, but for the most part, it really just is an endless yellow void. We can eventually find a dead explorer who's hidden under some figures, and he still has an MRE ready to eat with him. We can also reach an office eventually, which distracts us from the typical yellow colors that we see. And we even eventually reach a hallway, and it has a strange green light at the end. We can choose to go towards it, and... Okay, so we're back in the main facility, I think, and that's good. Moving forward, we can find an electrically charged fence like the one we saw earlier, which in the other room we can find the breaker for it and turn it off. Past the gate, there's an elevator, and hey, that's our task force below us. They're alive. We just gotta call the elevator, and it's out of power, but worry not, because there's another breaker if we head up. So we just flip it on and... Damn it, the elevator's broken, and Horizon Security finally arrived for the first time in the whole mission. Not that hard to handle though, and we can drop down the elevator shaft and make our way towards our task force's voices. We can head forward, hearing ourselves getting closer and closer, and... we're back in the fucking building. And of course this time, Horizon's crawling all over the place. But they're spread out. And friendly reminder for all of you, we're a literal super soldier. So us fighting a normal man is like John Cena punning a Make-A-Wish kid. But we can make our way through, dispatching any Horizon Security in our way, and eventually find a laser gate. And after making our way through the back rooms a little more, we can turn it off and continue, where we can open the door and see. Moving forward, we can see that our task force is fighting Horizon, and there's the object we've heard so much about in the background. We just need to get down there and help them. So that's exactly what we do as they finish wrapping up their disposal of the Horizon task force. They also seem to have a laser set up on it, and so we aim the laser and get ready to fire, taking out this object for good and finally getting to go back home.
What the sakes? All we knew he'd be alive. I'm trying to destroy this crystal, whatever it's doing. It's... What the fuck? What's happening to me?
The shadow people are back. The crystal seemingly has an immense amount of power as it exploded all of our men completely. And the shadow people are now just staring at us. Moving past them though, we can look around the crystal's area and we find there's many breakers feeding it its immense power. And we can walk towards these breakers that are feeding this thing, but if we get too close, the shadow people will return and block us. And they don't respond to shots or any kind of physical force. They just simply block us. And as we try and figure out what to do, a Horizon task force enters the room intending to take us down. But we're much more equipped to do just the opposite. After killing them, though, their bodies suddenly gain a weird white lightning effect around them. And we can head back to the breakers, and the Shadow Men seem to be temporarily gone with the body's aura around the breakers. And we have to do this process 2 more times as the Horizon guards get harder and harder to kill, and the difficulty ramps up in the room. But eventually we are able to take down all the reinforcements and turn off all the breakers. The thing has lost its source of power, so we can finally head over to the thing, grab the laser and to aim, and we can slowly wake up and look all around us. Where the facility once was, there's a giant crater, and there's just us. We can hear the AI that spoke to us throughout the facility say one last thing to us. It's not our time yet. We land back at HQ, and we decide we're not going to do anything else. We're going to immediately head over to the mission map, and we can finally see it. The final mission, Horizon HQ. It's time to finish this once and for all. We're going to Horizon. We spawn into the pipes under the Horizon HQ with our final objective, destroy Horizon. We immediately face heavy resistance as we leave the pipes, but resistance is futile as we take out all and any personnel. We eventually place breach charges to continue our assault, moving past the starter area. We can find a newspaper article, and apparently everything the CEO of the company, Anton Lazar, and Horizon has done has been leaked. He's now a wanted man for his crimes against humanity. We eventually, though, head up an elevator, and we can see the assault on the Horizon HQ directly. The whole place is on fire, and that applies to the bridge that we have to, of course, cross to get over to the main HQ. We have to fight our way across the bridge and through Horizon security in flaming cars as the fire blazes around us. But we eventually make it through, and we enter the facility, heading deeper. We can face more opposition as men come from the sides and even from the main stage in the room, which is in the center. But we simply just take them all out and take another elevator up as we continue our warpath trying to reach the CEO's penthouse. The view we get of the water is quite dreary with all the fog, and we can see Horizon employees being taken down by our task forces, but the director quickly loses her transmission with us, and replacing it is Anton Lazar. He's come with one final plea, saying how we're not burning down an empire, but we're burning down the hopes and dreams of thousands upon thousands of scientists and innovators. He says how the Syndicate is always the aggressor, the invader, and we're committing a genocide. But we ignore him. We eventually reach the top, stopping the elevator, and we're met by a laser gate instantly. We can just simply turn it off, though, and continue. We face even more opposition from security as we get closer and closer, so of course the security will ramp up trying to protect him. And moving more up, we can reach a room full of flashing rainbow lights and many, many security. And after killing the security and heading to a side room, we can find our last file. It's titled Emergency Project, and it's calling for all personnel with a cranial capacity of over 1800, an IQ over 140, and at least a master's degree. What are they doing? I don't know, but I don't feel good about it, considering that in the file there's an image of a scientist taking out someone's brain. But we can turn off the laser door and continue down the hall and open a door.
6. What have they done to you? You can't do this to me. I've sacrificed everything for this!
He's uploading his consciousness. You have to stop him.
Anton's put himself in some sort of chamber, and he's uploading his consciousness to a variety of brains. That was the project. He killed his own employees without them knowing what they were getting into, and killed them to harvest their brains for him to take over. How many had to die? How many? We shoot out his many brains, but security keeps ramping up and guarding the brains of everything they have. More and more brains and guards just keep coming, and we could hear so many screams all over. We can take out each brain though, and we work hard shooting each one out and killing all security. And eventually, our friendly chopper comes in. They deploy us a breach charge. It's time. We need to break into Anton's chamber. But our friendly chopper gets shot down, and we have to take out Horizon's top chopper with Anton's final brain inside. He's blowing his consciousness too. But with some fine shots and many, many, many shots more, we can take it out. Finally, we can head up to Anton. But we can hear him saying something. It's the only way, and then things go dark. Soon, though, we can hear Anton say to break the cycle, before growing dazed and wondering what he's even talking about. We wake up from our haze, though, and well...
Priority target is KIA. You've done it, 106. Horizon is finished.
It's finally over. We can head to our next loading screen, but something's different. This time, it has an orange hue, and at the bottom, instead of saying just click to continue, it says break the cycle. What? It doesn't matter anyway. We land back at our safe house, and we just have to head in.
Don't fight it. You're our most valuable asset, 106. You served the Syndicate well. It's time for you to retire now.
It was always meant to end this way. You're one of many cycles, 106. Were created for a special purpose.
The enemy triumphs today, but our sacrifice will not be in vain. For we have planted the seed to break the cycle.
If only you knew. You can't do this to me. I've sacrificed everything for this!
Now that your purpose is fulfilled, Cycle 106 is complete.
Operations are complete. Stand by.
Acknowledged. Terminate Cycle 106.
He served us well.
All units be advised, Subject 106 is active. Containment measures are ineffective.
Holy shit, we're alive. That bitch was going to incinerate us. What? It all makes sense now. The whole Subject 106 thing. The repeating of break the cycle throughout the game. Why almost every major character has that emblem on them. We're all part of the cycle. The Syndicate makes us for a specific purpose, and once we're done, or if we try and resist, they slaughter us. It all makes sense now. We need to break the cycle. We fight our way through the facility, killing any of our former allies in our way. We can even hear them saying how we've betrayed them. Ironic. We begin to destroy their power cores, as we have one place and one way to end the cycle. There's a nuclear warhead hidden beneath the facility, in the case the facility were ever breached by Horizon or any other enemy, and we're going to blow it up. but as we continue, we can hear the director say something over the comms.
Start the next cycle.
That's gonna damage the facility. We need all
Start the next cycle now.
What? They're already starting the next cycle? Crap, we need to continue. So we break through more power cores and we kill more and more men, trying to make our way to the warhead before the next cycle can commence and another one of us is made, but
07.
Subject 107 has been given one objective: terminate us. We have to fight him directly, but he's much stronger, faster, and his invisibility lasts much longer than ours. After a while though, after we put some shots into him, he'll eventually retreat at a quarter health, which then allows us to continue our advance as we reach the next room. We can find it filled with more of the Syndicate's security, and it's covered in many explosives. And every single member's security is covered in as much armor as physically possible. But they aren't a problem for us, though. And that is until 107 decides he's going to return. He's even harder to kill now, as he's taking advantage of more of his abilities in the tight hallways and corners of the room we're in. But if we put enough shots into him and get him at half health, then he'll again retreat. But the room is still armed with bombs, and we need to defuse them. Shit. It goes from 20 seconds left down to 2. And, come on. Boom. We got it. He chopped off our arm, and it's actually just seriously gone. We lost our arm for the rest of the game. We have to fight our way through more security with just one hand. All we can do is continue shooting and taking down any obstacles in our path. But after a while though, we can finally see the warhead. It's within sight. We just have to drop down and arm it, and .107 is stronger than ever. Every ability that we have, he has, and he even has special abilities, and they're all on display. Our ammo options are also very limited. If we don't conserve, then we won't have enough to finish him. We just need to be patient and take our time. If we can get him to a quarter health though, he'll retreat and the facility's security will come in. We have to fight with them with one arm and our limited ammo, but we can still do it. And finally, for the very last time, 107 is back. It's time for him to die. It's a hard-fought fight, as he has many abilities, especially using his sword that can do a lot of damage to us. But we use the last of our ammo, carefully shooting at him whenever we have an open moment. And eventually, after hundreds upon hundreds of shots, he finally dies. And that's the end. We finally break the cycle and... Just kidding!
Welcome back, 6.
We're not done with you yet.
Okay. So we did actually break the cycle. It's just that at the end of the game, that there's a teaser for possibly a subsequent game or sequel. But yeah, that's all of Trepang2 pretty much explained. But before you go, I want to say some stuff. And let's start off with, if this video gets like 20 likes, then I'll talk about or buy the Blade Kisser DLC this game has, and see if it's worth talking about to you guys. But another thing about this game is I like that it borrows a lot from internet culture, like the backroom section, Mothman, the Russian sleep experiment. It's all very cool to see when developers insert like cool stuff that only certain people will get. And also, if you're wondering about Trepang1, well, the original Trepang is about a sea pickle. So look that up if that sounds interesting or funny to you. But thank you for watching, and maybe throw me a cheeky like and a cheeky subscribe. And let's move on to my outro song.
Hey everybody, this is my outro song. I hope that you do sing along. I'm the Moth Maker, and I make content. Please give me money. I need money. Please subscribe. I don't have a dime. I have really, really bad rhymes. Please subscribe. This is the outro song. The outro song. The outro song. This is the Moth Maker outro song. Please subscribe. I don't have a dime. If you give me a little bit of your time, maybe subscribe and give me a dime. A dime, a dime, a dime, a rhyme. I got bars from Mars. Girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Boys go to Mars to get more bars. That's what I'm saying. My name's not Lars. My name is Mothmaker, and I take time to make these videos, and I spit bars, rhymes, and hymes, and lots of things. So please subscribe and have a good time. Bye.